So this is the Jonathan Simons building, also the 311 building. It was built in 1929, designed by architect H. Fraser Rose. The location was picked at the time because Jews were not allowed to own property north of 5th Street. The anti-Semitism in Miami, well, let alone Florida, was so terrible that hotels actually wouldn't let in Jews. And I wish that we could all be at the museum physically, because there are hotel brochures that say Gentile clientele or restricted clientele, which they didn't make it so big that everyone could see it, like, okay, like Jews aren't allowed here. No, it was very small and really just very passive. So it was hard to notice. You would know at check-in, actually, which is not very good for vacation. So I'm just going to get into the interior part of the Jonathan Simons building. This is the original dark wood bema, which is the focal point of the sanctuary. This dark wood is called Dade County pine, which carpenters used a lot of in the 1920s, since it's resistant to termites, and this is also why the tree is endangered. And once the 301 building opened, which is the one to the right, 311, this building served as a social hall. So right there, you can see that it says social hall. Now it says Jewish Museum of Florida, but I just thought that that detail was very important to point out. And how exactly are the two buildings connected? And that's also very important in understanding the architecture of the Jewish Museum of Florida. So Bessie's Gallery was built in 2008 and is named for Bess Meyerson, the only Jewish Miss America to date. And she was crowned shortly after World War II ended in 1945. I have a picture of her later on in these slides, but Bess Meyerson was crowned shortly after World War II. So I love thinking of this the way I do. Bess Meyerson was crowned. Imagine being a Jewish girl in this time period. And oh my God, all these horrible things are happening to Jews in Europe. But Bess Meyerson was crowned the prettiest girl in America this year. She's just like me. She's also Jewish. She grew up speaking Yiddish at home, just like me. And now she's the prettiest girl in America. Wow. I mean, just that's how great America has been to Jews. So I really like pointing that out. But during her later years, she lived in Florida and donated funds for the glass dome connection between the two buildings. And there it is. And there's another picture. And that's Bess right there. And doesn't she look like Judy Garland's doppelganger? I mean, she's just so pretty. So I'm just gonna move on to the next slide. So the 301 building is the Art Deco style, done in the Art Deco style, which is very popular at the time. And it was built in 1936, designed by architect Henry Hohauser. And Henry Hohauser and his wife, Grace, that's them right there. They moved to Florida due to Grace having a sinus condition. So this building was done in the Art Deco style, which was very popular at the time. Now I'm going to get to the foundation of the building, the most important part. And well, yeah, in the sense of practicality, it is the sloped floors. So this was very popular at the time, and it feels like you're on a boat. So this major component in the Art Deco movement there was this major component in the Art Deco movement to use inspiration from nature, but not to blend in with nature. That was in vogue a few decades after this and was popularized by Frank Lloyd Wright, where you see in Frank Lloyd Wright's works that they hug literally the houses he designed, hug the horizon. The idea of the Art Deco style was not to hug the horizon, but it was more to get ideas from nature and blend it in there. I'd like to think that there's a deeper meaning in the way Hohauser designed the floor, and that Beth Jacob congregants would refer to their temple as the shtetl by the sea. A shtetl is a small town. So congregants would get this feeling that they were, in fact, on this shtetl by the sea, on a boat. And I'm just going to get on to the next Art Deco piece, which are the scallop trimmings right there. And I'm going to bring it to 2020. London designer Nisha Crossland designed furniture with scallop patterns and even said scallops are everywhere in nature, rose petals, leaf edges. And since many people go to synagogue to feel grounded, and that was the style, I think that Hochhauser kept that in mind when he designed the building. And here is the pièce de résistance, the Giller Grossman family dome, which was recently restored, made out of copper. And it is the central focus of the ceiling with a large chandelier coming down from the dome. Domes were a popular element in the Art Deco movement, which derived from the Renaissance era. Because the Art Deco movement was so modern, architects took this classic dome and incorporated it into their buildings. And if you think about it, something so original, because it came from just a few centuries ago, yet so modern, could really fit in with this really interesting light architecture. So I'm just going to move on to the next staple of the museum, which are the stained glass windows. And there are 77 stained glass windows. Many of these windows have floral motifs, Stars of David and pomegranate branches. So right there, I'm just going to use the pointer, and there you see the pomegranate branches, and then you see the Stars of David, of course. And the upper windows actually feature the Jewish symbol or Hebrew month using signs of zodiac. So right there, you see the scales of justice, which that's the Libra. Zodiac is tied to Kabbalah. So Libra, I believe, is from mid to late September all the way to mid to late October. So you see that, I mean, early to mid-October, yeah, by that time. So then it goes on chronologically to the Scorpion, which is a Scorpio. And then you see that zodiac trend continue. Then you see that, you know, it's really interesting the way that that's tied together. But the stained glass windows actually were an original. And the story about where they got the windows and everything in between is just so interesting. So due to the invention of air conditioning, stained glass windows were put in to block the sun. Before, the windows would be open and give a cross breeze. As a result, Rabbi Meshaloff would have to yell, and you could hear him from Euclid Avenue, which is just a few miles down from Beth Jacob, now the Jewish Museum of Florida. And congregants actually couldn't read from their prayer books due to the Florida sun being so violent. This is why the stained glass was put in and designed by the rabbi. So it's insane. And eventually the rabbi found a place in Hialeah to make the stained glass windows for Beth Jacob. And that's how the windows got there. And I'm just going to read a piece of the excerpt from Rabbi Meshaloff on the history of the synagogue and the stained glass windows. In Miami Beach, it gets hot and humid. The windows and doors were always open. It was noisy and windy and dusty. When you stood up front and spoke with the windows and doors open, you could be heard on Euclid Avenue. The sun shone brightly, and it was blinding. We had to do something. In Europe, they had skylights that were bolted. We had to have something that would cut down the blinding light. For that, we needed stained glass windows. We found a local craftsman way out on the mainland that worked with the glass. It was a big job, and he took on the job. I was going to give different symbols for different windows, which he did. The first two windows were purchased by a group of teenage girls who called themselves Habanot, the Hebrew word for daughters. They were organized by Mrs. Meshaloff, and the girls wanted to be a part of the synagogue. How were they going to raise money? Some of the windows cost as much as $200. I worked with them, and I wrote them a playlet, and they practiced and performed in this building. And the girls packed the house, and they raised the $200 and two other windows. The other donor I must tell you about is Mrs. Boskowitz. She was a little bit of a thing, very frail. People gave $5, she gave $25. People gave $20, she gave $100. For the Jewish National Fund, she was constantly giving. Where'd she get that money? I found out she had a son somewhere up north who sent her a pittance just enough for rent and food. She used to go 3 times a week to the Copacabana. She took a folding chair and sat down in front of it. The gamblers who came to Copacabana said she is our lucky star. Whenever we go in and we give her something, we win. She would sit there for 3 or 4 times a week. She never used a penny of that for herself. That money was just for her to give away to charity. So that's how some of the windows got there. And I mean, it's really amazing how people were so giving during an economic recession going on. And speaking of economic recession, there are quite a few timestamps of the building, and those are the stained glass windows, but there are a lot of timestamps from being built in 1936, and I'm going to talk about that now. So right there, you see the racing stripe wall trimmings, and they were used as a symbol to give hope that the U.S. economy will improve. So think about that. I mean, going up kind of looks like, you know, bringing out hope that the stock market is going to go up. And another timestamp that brings great fascination to our viewers are the half stars of David, which are on each of the corners of the building. And it's really a mystery as to how they got there. It could be that they simply ran out of room. But if something's in a synagogue, I don't really like to think about it. And when I give my tours, I don't like to think, okay, like this is just something they ran out of room and that's just a practical explanation. I feel like there's always a deeper meaning. And an explanation that resonates well with some, including myself, is that the principle of tzedakah, charity, is a core value in the Jewish community. So half a star is being extended to the outside community during this tough time where people were losing their jobs and going through an economic crisis, quite literally. So this actually concludes my segment. So thank you so much for watching. I know it's really short, and I'm sorry for that, but I really just wanted to keep it like that.
Thank you, Shelly. That was wonderful. And I guess now let's open it up for questions or comments. I know we had a few in the chat, but if anyone has any questions or comments for Shelly, please feel free to unmute, and we'd love to hear from you.
I'll ask one. I just can't get myself back on there. Okay.
Here we go.
I'm going to ask you a little bit about the star, because I'm one of the people that is of the opinion that it's just a matter of symmetry, you know, half a column, half a star. But I like your description. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, people were losing their jobs quite literally. So I think that Hohauser kept that in. I really do believe that they ran out of room, but I think that they were like, because, you know, that could have been fixed. That's how I'm going to think. I mean, so much money was put into the architecture of the building that they could have removed it and just added another one. So for that to happen, I just believe that, okay, like they really could have replaced it. But then if you think about that meaning of it being extended to non-Jews,
the outside.
because tzedakah, charity, is so important to Jews. And I mean, I'm vice president of my youth group, and we're always doing that tzedakah project and bake sales. So definitely it's like, that's always been a core value. So I really like to express that to our people who come and visit, because you know, this is so unfair, but Jews often have that stereotype of being greedy, and I hate that so much. And I think this is one of the beautiful things about being a docent. You can't fix the way someone thinks, but you can teach them, and you can say, you know, not like, oh, okay, like here's this statistic and that statistic, but I mean, okay, that's a beautiful concept in Judaism.
Well, thank you very much. I see there's some other questions here.
Yeah, so we have a question from Alice, and she's asking how you became involved in the museum, Shelly.
Okay, I love this question. So yeah, shortly after my bat mitzvah, I had a certificate was given to me from the museum. And I was once I was done with my bat mitzvah, I honestly really thought, okay, like, peace out. I'm not gonna come back to my synagogue. And I was confirmed. I have pictures to prove it, but I thought for that time I was so tired. But then like 2 weeks later, I was really sick in bed. And I was like, okay, I should go through these envelopes and check out these certificates. So I go and I check them out and I see, wow, this looks really interesting. Docenting. Okay, I can get community service hours and I can talk to people. And I thought that's a wonderful way to get hours and learn about the arts and learn more about Florida Jewish culture. Because up until I was docenting, I really didn't know that much. I just knew about the Lower East Side because my father has an exhibit, and the Jews of Washington, D.C., because my dad's from there. But that's about it. So I'm really glad that I got involved with the museum, and it's really helped me with my Jewish identity.
I'm so glad. It's been wonderful working with you.
Thank you.
And we have another question here about Meyer Lansky's window, which is a great plug for us because actually Howard Breyer, who's on this call, will be leading us in another program part of this series in a few weeks. And Howard will be speaking a little bit about Meyer Lansky, but also about the S&G Syndicate, looking at Jewish crime in Miami Beach. So stay tuned for that as well. Shelly, I had a question for you. We've talked a little bit about this, but this is actually, you brought this to my attention, the racing stripes. That's something that I hadn't heard about before. And do you know if that was a symbol that was integrated in other architectural elements of buildings? Was that part of Art Deco, or do you think that was just something for our building?
I think that was a timestamp. Actually, Melissa Kishel is the one, another docent. She's the one who told me about it. And I thought it was really cool. And I actually took AP Art History the year before she said that. And then I'm like, okay, I remembered hearing that. Because, I mean, there's some things that just, it's really fascinating. We're in an economic recession and necessity is the mother of invention. So that's, I mean, one of the things that just comes to mind.
Fantastic. Do we have any other questions?
Hello?
Yes. Howard.
I could add something about racing stripes.
Great. I'd love to hear.
So it's a common element in Art Deco buildings, and it was they're called racing stripes because they give a sense of movement to the building. So a good example, if anybody's familiar with Ocean Drive in Miami Beach, a good example of racing stripes is on the Cardozo Hotel on Ocean Drive and 13th Street, which, by the way, is named after a Jewish U.S. Supreme Court Justice Benjamin Cardozo. So that has some good racing stripes on the second and third stories.
Fascinating. I'll have to take a look next time I'm walking in the area. Great. Wonderful. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I'd like to first thank you for joining us and also plug next week's program, which will focus on the Marcus Wankel Torah. So it'll be on Wednesday, August 5th at 3 p.m. And if you go to our website, you can sign up to attend. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy that all of you were able to join. This was wonderful. Have a really nice rest of the day and please stay safe.
Yeah. Wonderful.